tracks, and they can be good at all of them. So, and that's the challenge of it. That's what you got to try and strive to achieve is to be a better driver at all the challenges you face, and not just one of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You know, my background very much road street circuit racing. You know, having done a lot of my young career in Europe, but coming over here, I've really enjoyed the challenge of the oval because some of the best races I've had, I think one of the things that drivers enjoy is not just winning, but having a really good race. And I think that was pretty obvious a couple of weeks ago at the Indy 500. Rubens Barrichello, 18 or 20 years, however, it seems like it's been forever, 18 years, I guess, in Formula One. He comes walking down the pit lane, and he and I went back and forth in the last 20 or 30 laps, passing and repassing, and he came down and had just the biggest grin on his face because it was such a good race. So as drivers, we enjoy a good race. If it's a road race or an oval race, if it's good racing, it's irrelevant to us. And the challenge of doing all those different tracks, just as Joseph said, it's really fulfilling when you have a good result, consistently, or build some momentum across different types of racetracks.
Any other questions from the audience? Yes, right up here.
As drivers, and many sporting people have a superstition or a daily thing that they prepare for a race. What sort of prep do you have prior to a race?
Let's hear Charlie's answer first before we get to Joseph.
Well, I was going to joke about it involves, a rabbit's foot and a blunt pair of, socks. But actually, the one thing is, the only thing I sort of realized that I do kind of out of routine, other than my traditional prepare meals and, blood sugar stuff, which is something I do every day. But in the race car, I typically step in from the left side with my right foot first. And I don't know if that's a superstition or just routine. Usually, because on an oval, I try not to be on the track side of the car. When I'm getting in the car, I try and keep the car between me and those nut jobs out there going 200 miles an hour. So when I step into the car, I always step in with my right foot first from the left side of the car, and then when I step out that same side.
I kind of do the same thing, but I tend to think it's because I'm right-handed for some reason. I don't like getting in on the left side, it's uncomfortable. So I do the same thing. I have no real superstitions. The only thing that I noticed, and this was really evident when I raced in Europe for 2 years, is more so over there, their drivers get extremely serious, before a race, too serious, way too serious. You're taking yourself too seriously. They get on the iPhone, and they listen to their music, they have their formulated drinks, and they go and they chill in the corner by themselves, and they zone out from the whole world, and have crazy look in their face. That doesn't mean No, that is not me. I try to keep it real light before a race. Now, some don't think that's maybe the right thing to do, but I try to keep it, really energetic and happy and right before I get in the car. Now, when I get in the car, I'm full focus, ready to go. But before I get in the car, I like to have a good time with the mechanics and joke around and all that and keep it lighthearted. So that's what I do.
Yeah, actually, I used to, I stopped doing it because I ran out of bad jokes. But I used to tell a bad joke on the radio after I was strapped in. I used to do the radio check. And then my engineers would be waiting for it. And it's, what do you call a fish without an eye? Okay. So, like I said, ran out of bad jokes, so I stopped doing it, and my team appreciates it now.
You run out of bad jokes? I hope you can just make jokes up, I
stand those jokes.
What do you call a glass without water? A glass without water. That's a horrible joke. But I just made that up just now.
That's above my level. That's too good.
No. I think I'm going to start doing that. That's kind of a good idea.
Other questions from the audience? Yes, right here. We're going. Okay, we'll get there.
Hi, this is a question for Charlie Kimball. I'm also a type 1 diabetic, so I was just wondering how you feel your position in the media and in sports helps raise awareness and maybe encourage research for diabetes.
I think that one of the big goals of my racing career is not just to win races, but at the same time, raise awareness. Because when I was first diagnosed, I was very ignorant about what diabetes was. And I really don't want that same reaction, for people who have heard my story, who, are racing and want to get involved. And I feel very lucky that I get to do what I love and drive race cars. And at the same time, have that opportunity to use, pardon the pun here, but racing as a vehicle to raise awareness for diabetes, raise research dollars, drive, pardon the pun again, but drive towards a cure eventually. So my position in the media, in sports coverage, as well as in the diabetes community, is a lot to do with telling my story, raising that awareness, and doing what I can to get back to the diabetes community that gave me so much when I was diagnosed.
Thank you.
Very good. I think we had one right over there.
I was going to ask, when you're racing, when do you get the biggest adrenaline rush, and do you ever get used to it?
I don't know. I would say at the start, you would think maybe a restart as well. Depending on where you're positioned in the race, it can increase or decrease. I think it definitely stays with you for a long period of time during the race. Because sometimes you can be extremely tired, and when you get inside the car, all of a sudden you're awake, you're switched on, you're ready to go, and it's just from getting in the car. You just get adrenaline. That could be a practice session or whatever. So I think you definitely sustain the level of it for the entire time, but probably at its peak will be a start or a restart, when you're at your most heightened level. That's what I would say.
I think for me, the single biggest adrenaline rush of the whole season is sitting in the green room before intros at the Indy 500. Because it's bigger than any other race we do, and you see the stands filling up, and there's just so many people, and you spend 3 weeks building to that moment, and physiologically you just have such an adrenaline reaction. Inevitably when you get in the car, it becomes just another race, in a sense, but that adrenaline definitely carries you through. And I don't think I don't think anyone will ever get tired of that as a driver, because when you're in the cars, you're really enjoying it, and your body is definitely making the most of that anxiety, that adrenaline, and to put its best effort out there. And in fact, after a race weekend, I struggle to get a good night's sleep for a night or two, because my body's still up from the race weekend, but I'm so mentally exhausted from the race that I'm super tired, but I don't ever feel like I'm getting a good night's sleep because of that adrenaline entering in my system.
Question for both of you. Since we are in Texas, and Joseph, I'll give you a second to think about this one. What do you enjoy most about coming to Texas?
Well, I think the fans here are like nowhere else. That's always a popular answer, but it's pretty clear. What Texas Motor Speedway racing is fantastic, and it's really important for us to be able to put on a great show for fans, because they come out to see us do what we do, and if we can put on a great show, then we'll have a job. And that it's job security if they can put on a great show for the fans, and the fans love it. Everybody is so excited about how it is in town, from the airport to the hotel to everything. It's really great to be here in the DFW area, racing under the lights, Saturday night, and no place better to be.
I think they do everything big in Texas. It's a big state. They do everything big. I think, continuing on with what Charlie was saying, definitely the fans. I think everyone's really nice here for some reason. It's just, you got very nice people here. I think. I actually had an opportunity to go out and talk to a lot of fans yesterday. We did a little video scoop, and everyone was really, really nice, really sweet, and I really enjoyed it. I like nice fans. It's nice to see, and they seem to love this event. Seem to always have a pretty good crowd here, and I I think one of the cool things about Texas is this is one of the races I definitely remember watching when I was younger. You know, I watched a lot of IndyCar races before, but this was always one of the ones that's been instilled into my memory. It's one of just the coolest events running around this place, I think. So that's something I really enjoy, just the track in general. And I've never driven here in a race, so I'm really excited to finally get to do that this evening. But great fans. You can't beat the fans in Texas, that's for sure.
Question from the audience? Back to the oval road course. Watching IndyCar racing for a lot of years, being in Indianapolis, it was all over. So now we have, unfortunately, last year Las Vegas, we moved to over back off oval, probably two tracks. But racing over the years has always been, so coach and go, it was involved in the race, but we all that was great. How do we get the balance back? I enjoy oval. I don't tune in and watch you run road courses, but I'll watch every oval there is. So where can there be a good balance?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to economics. Fortunately, you know, racing really, it's an entertainment sport, and yet it's also a business. And you know, one of the reasons we're here at Texas is because it's a great race. It's supported. You know, a lot of people come out, and it's a success. You know, personally, I'd love to be going back to New Hampshire because I love the short ovals. I really enjoyed racing about last year, but the event wasn't successful enough to maintain its longevity. So I think naturally the balance will come back into play as the economy and all of the other things sort themselves out. Now I think as a driver, we'll go race anytime, anywhere. In fact, most of us are getting just about any car anyone will give us, would be dumb enough to give us the keys to. I mean, sprint car, NASCAR, dragster. As drivers, we've got a helmet rule traffic. You know, so whatever it comes down to, where the races will be successful is where we'll go race.
Last question for both of you, and then we're going to open it up and you guys can get autographs or pictures with Josef and Charlie. But talk about the race tonight. What are we going to see? Obviously, it's going to be an exciting race, and Texas always produces good IndyCar races. But from two drivers, what can we see tonight?
There's races tonight. I thought it was tomorrow. All kidding aside, you'll see a great race. I think you'll see throughout the tire and fuel stint today, as the cars go off. You'll see cars coming to the front and going to the back. And you'll see guys that, as it cools off, being a night race, as the temperature changes, you'll see guys going faster and faster throughout the race and working on their cars, making adjustments in the pit lane, tire pressures, aerodynamic changes. You'll see people working the different lines of the racetrack. Last night in practice, started the low line was quick, and then at the end of practice, the high line was really quick. So I think you'll see guys doing different things to try and get the speed out of their car and then also get by people. You'll see some really good racing, you know, all night long.
Josef?
Yeah, I think Charlie's right. It's going to be really cool and maybe a little bit different than years past. You know, you're going to see guys really struggling and then guys that are doing really well. You know, it's a little bit difficult this weekend running with the new downforce configurations that we have on the cars. But it's also making it a lot more interesting. You have to search, like Charlie said, you got to find new lines. You can't just settle for that bottom line and run the apron on the track. It's not going to work this year. So you'll see guys moving all over the place, trying to figure out where their car works best. And you know, you see a lot of variety of anything. And I definitely think it'll produce some good racing. Because you'll see guys mess up and struggle to get the right line working or get their cars handling right. And you'll see other guys capitalize on that are doing well themselves. So I think if anything, you'll see a good show, that's for sure. And you know, hopefully we're both in a position where we're going to beat some of those guys going to the front, and you know, we're going to be happy with our balances. But only time will tell. It's going to be a tough race.
I'd like to thank both of you for coming up today. Josef and Charlie have about 10 minutes before they need to get going to the autograph session down the road. But they have hero cards available, so I think they'll sign a few of those. But okay, you got the autograph session for all the IndyCar drivers is at
gate 6. Charlie and Joseph will be there, but I think they're going to stay around and sign for a little bit and maybe pictures. So, gentlemen, thank you.
Thanks, guys.